Emily, welcome to the show.
I am so thrilled to be here. How you feeling?
I'm so ready. And I feel like I've done some of your meditations in the past. And now sitting here, even just talking to you, I'm like, you really do have that voice. It's just so smooth and pure and calming. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did used to be a singer, so that's part of it.
Oh,
12 years of
yes.
meditation and a decade on Broadway. That'll smooth things out a little bit, hopefully.
No way. That's so cool. Well, that starts my first question is like, tell us your story. So from Broadway to meditation, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I was on Broadway for 10 years, singing, dancing, acting. My last show was a chorus line where I was understudying three of the lead roles. So, imagine showing up to your job and being like, oh, just kidding, you're going to be the director of operations today when you thought you were the director of marketing. Or, oh, surprise, like you're going to be giving a speech today when you thought you were in accounting.
Yep.
And so it's very nerve-wracking. And so that led to a lot of anxiety, which led to insomnia. So I wasn't sleeping through the night for 18 months, going gray in my 20s, getting sick, getting injured. And it's confusing, when you're living your dream and then miserable. And so, long story short, I found meditation and it cured my insomnia on the first day. I slept through the night for the first time in 18 months. And I have every night since. That was 12 years ago. And then I stopped getting sick. I didn't get sick for 8.5 years. I used to get sick 4 or 5 times a year.
Hmm.
I started enjoying my job again. I stopped going gray. And I was like, why does everyone not do this? So I left Broadway. I went to India and I started what became a 3 year training process to teach. And since graduating, I've now taught over 50,000 people to do the Ziva technique on their own. And the book has been translated into 14 languages. One of them is Arabic. And so it feels exciting to get this message and these tools into the hands of cultures and communities that maybe had access and then lost it over many
Hmm.
hundreds of years. And also that people are waking up, that they're ready to look inside for their own fulfillment
Yeah.
and to go to their own souls to create the kind of success in the world that we want to. I mean, not to be too on the nose, but that's what we're about at Ziva. Is like, how can you, yes, live your dreams, yes, perform at the top of your game, but in a way where it is authentically you, where in a way that is sustainable, in a way that is healing you and healing everyone around you.
So, one of the last questions I always ask everybody on the show is, what does success with soul mean to you? And I feel like you just answered it right there.
Check, check.
So good. Check. We're way ahead of schedule. I love it. So, I'm curious, that first meditation that you did, was it self-guided? Were you listening to a track of something? Like, if for the very first time, what was it like for you?
Okay, so it's so fascinating because when I started 12 years ago, I mean, this is hard to imagine now, but there was no Headspace, there was no
Right.
Calm, there was no Oprah Chopra. Online courses weren't a thing. Like, it really was a different era as far as online courses and around meditation. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually created the world's first online meditation training, and people thought they called it a nudist Buddhist. And they're like, look, you can be weird in one way or weird in another, but you can't put weird on top of weird. And they're like, meditation is weird, online courses are weird, and you're trying to do both. And so it was in this like, well, now look, it's everyone everyone and their brother
Yeah.
has a meditation app these days. So anyway, my first course was there was a woman sitting next to me in the dressing room in a chorus line, and she had a harder job than I did. She was understudying five of the leads and nailing it. I mean, every song, every dance, every bite of food this woman ate, she'd be like, oh, this is sensational. And she was Australian. And so first I just thought it was because she was an Aussie. And then I was like, no, this is extra. So finally I was like, hey, like, I want to have some of what you're having. So she said, my teacher's in town. Do you want to learn? And I said, yes. So I went along to this course, and it was about 2 hours a day for 4 days. And there was a full, like, you went to an intro talk and you signed up, and there was a ceremony on the first day, and it wasn't like, oh, let me download this app. It wasn't like, oh,
Mm.
let me listen to this 20-minute thing. Like, now when people hear the word meditation, they think, oh, well, which free app did you download? Which
Right.
person's guided thing are you doing? And really
Yeah.
at Ziva, what we're all about is teaching people how to do this on their own, how to
Right.
get these skills intrinsically inside of you so that you don't need your phone or Wi-Fi or headphones or a dude playing drums on your chest in order to meditate, that you can just close your eyes and access this infinite bliss. So anyway, my first class was in New York City, but with a teacher who had come into town from London, and it was in-person training. And really that first day, I was in a different state of consciousness than I had ever been in before, and I liked it. And then that night, I slept through the night for the first time in 18 months.
Yeah.
And if anyone who's been struggling with insomnia knows that like life is hard when you're tired. And if curing my insomnia is all meditation had done for me, it would have been enough. But
Mm-hmm.
then, as you know, like the ripple effect of getting enough sleep, the ripple effect of having your full cognitive abilities available to you, the ripple effect of your intuition getting stronger, it's like it up levels every single area of your
Yeah,
life.
totally. So tell us a little bit more about what makes Ziva different from other meditation practices, other than the fact that you're teaching them us how to do it for ourselves rather than always having a guided thing that we're listening to.
Yeah, so I first want to acknowledge that most people who haven't yet taken a meditation training think, well, I could never do this on my own. I could never
Mhm.
quiet my mind. I have to have guidance. Like, I really like guided meditation. So I understand that that's the mindset that most people are coming from. And so they're actually like holding on to the crutches or are hungry for someone holding their hand through it. And so
Mhm.
I just want to let people know that there's a difference between a guided visualization and you learning the skill of meditation, right?
Okay.
They really are two separate things.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things we do at Ziva is, like you said, we train people to do mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting on your own.
Mhm.
So the Ziva technique is comprised of these three M's: mindfulness, which gets rid of your stress in the now;
Mhm.
meditation, which gets rid of your stress from the past; and manifesting, which helps with your dreams for the future. And
Mhm.
so, what in this day and age, when most people say when they say meditation, what they usually are thinking of are free apps, which is again someone usually guiding you through a visualization.
Mhm.
So, technique wise, anytime you're focusing, anytime someone's having you concentrate on your breath or visualize your chakras, that's all keeping you in your left brain realm of thinking. You're directing your focus, which I would define that as mindfulness. So most of the quote unquote meditation apps out there, I would actually define as mindfulness apps,
Yep.
which again is very good at handling your stress in the now. It's very good at creating a state change. But
Mhm.
what meditation is doing is that it's creating a trait change. It is healing your stress from the past. And this is one of the things that makes Ziva so powerful is that you're going in and you're giving your body rest that's 5 times deeper than sleep.
Mm.
And that's not insignificant because when we give the body the rest that it needs, it knows how to heal itself. And it's the cool thing is it's not just healing stress from today, it's healing stress from your parents' divorce when you were 12, your breakup when you were 16, the job you got fired from you were 24, the move you did last week. Like all that stuff gets stored in our cells. And over time, that stress makes us stupid, sick, and slow. All of us. Right? And so what Ziva's doing is that it's like peeling away those layers so that you can really perform at the top of your game. And then finally, we finish with manifesting. And I'm sure your audience is well into manifesting by now, but my simple definition of that is you consciously creating a life you love. Consciously creating a life you love, getting intentional about what you want your life to look like. How
Mhm.
much money would you love to make in a year? How much sex would you like to have in a week? What's your dream vacation? What do you want your impact to be on the planet? Versus what so many people are doing is that they're just living fully reactive lives,
Mhm.
or they're constantly just putting out fires or moving away from the problems instead of moving towards their dreams. And
Mm.
the trick is that it actually takes less energy to manifest your dreams than it does to be constantly running away from your nightmares.
Yeah, say that again.
Yeah,
That's
it takes
good.
less energy to manifest your dreams than it does to be constantly running away from your nightmares.
Mm.
And the thing is, nature doesn't like a vacuum. So if you don't wake up in the day and set your intention for the day, if you don't finish your meditation and really dream into what you want your life to look like, if your CEO of your company does not set strategic objectives for the year, everybody's just doing busy work, right?
Right.
It's like if you don't set the address into your GPS, you're just driving aimlessly around the streets. And
Mhm.
that's what a life without a real manifestation practice is that you're just reacting, you're working, you don't know why, you don't know what your purpose is. How could you even how could you even celebrate success because you haven't defined it for yourself?
Mm.
And so with Ziva, we're actually teaching people a daily discipline of flooding their brains and bodies with dopamine and serotonin, which are bliss chemicals, feeling really good, accessing that source energy so that they can even hear their own intuition. And then after the meditation, investing some time into dreaming into what do I want my day, my life, my relationship to look like.
Okay, so much goodness, so many follow-up questions.
Yes, hit me.
So I'm trying to figure out where to start because, okay, the first question that I was having when you first started talking about what makes Ziva different is like, but how does meditation do this? Can you tell us more about like some of the science of meditation and what's actually happening to help us heal?
Yes, it would be my pleasure. So, when we get stressed, when humans get stressed, the body launches into a fight or flight stress reaction. And there's a whole host of chemical reactions that happen in the body. One of the first things is that your digestion floods with acid to shut down your digestion because you need all that energy to get away from the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
That acid then seeps onto your skin so that you don't taste very good if the tiger were to bite you. Your blood thickens and coagulates so that you don't bleed to death if you get bitten into. Your vision will narrow. Bladder and bowels evacuate. Immune system goes to the back burner. Sex drive goes to the back burner. And so this series of chemical reactions is helpful if your demands are tigers. But if your demands are kids, jobs, deadlines, in laws, flying, pandemics, then this fight or flight thing has actually become maladaptive. It's disallowing us from performing at the top of our game.
Right.
And so, what meditation does is that it goes in and not only gets rid of the adrenaline and cortisol, which are those acidic stress hormones, but it also floods the brain and body with dopamine and serotonin. And these are the feel good hormones. This is bliss chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cool thing here is that you, one, start to feel better, but you also can reverse your body age by up to 15 years. And that's not just some hippy dippy folks saying that. That's like science out of Tufts and Wake Forest University. You can improve fertility. You can increase skin elasticity. You can improve brain elasticity. You can elongate neurogenesis, which is the brain's ability to generate new neurons. Your sex drive can improve, decision making improves. You can increase your IQ by 12 points and reverse your brain age by something crazy like 20 years.
Okay, where do I sign? I'm
I
in.
mean, it's legitimately like, I know I sound like a used car salesman, but when people say like I don't have time to meditate, I'm like, what the F else are you doing with your time? Like because people are thinking like meditation is like a cute bubble bath for your brain or
Yes.
like a pedicure, like something that's like cute that you'll get around to when you have extra time, because what most people think meditation is like a yummy guided visualization, again, that makes you feel better in the now. But if you actually are meditating in the way I teach at Ziva and getting rid of all the stress in your body and giving yourself that host of biological changes that I just rattled off, you start to see that you make decisions faster. You get some more stuff done in less time. Your sleep is more efficient. You make better decisions. Your relationships improve. And then you get into the mindset of like, I can't afford not to meditate. Like,
Right.
I'm so busy, I better meditate today.
Yeah.
And that's really where I would love to see the narrative go in the public. Because at this point, the science is in. Everyone knows they should be meditating, but then we convince ourselves, well, I'm too busy or I can't clear my mind.
Right.
But once you have a technique that's designed for you and not a monk, and once you actually have a little bit of training versus just thinking you should sit there and be able to magically clear your mind,
Right.
that is where everything gets so much easier.
Yeah. I love that you said that, meditation is not a cute bubble bath because I think meditation and just self-care in general has kind of been co-opted by bubble baths and massages and like things that are nice. I mean, I like those things, but that's not
Yeah.
really going to restore like daily trauma and stress. And, it's so much more than that. So,
Yeah.
um, we've talked a lot about like
Can
what
I just
meditation
pause for
is.
1 second? I just want to turn off my air conditioner because it's going to sound horrible.
Oh,
Can I just,
sure.
okay.
Yep.
Try to do that at an easy break point. Apologies, but your sound engineer will thank me later.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Oh, yeah, that sounds better.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. No problem. Just made a note of the timestamp. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna start
You're saying like bubble
with
bath, self-care, and then you were
yes.
changing gears.
Okay. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what meditation is not, but can we talk about what meditation actually is? And I think, yes, when I hear, and I think a lot of people listening hear about meditation, they think it's just quieting your mind for 10 minutes. Don't think about anything.
Yeah.
And that's
And
meditating.
then people try that and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's simple. I should be able to do it. Like, I don't need to take a class. I'll just sit
Right.
in a chair and quiet my mind. And then they close their eyes and they're like, all right, brain, shut up. Sure would love a snack. Snacks are delicious. Maybe I should take a bubble bath. Well, no, she said meditation's better for me than bubble bath, but now I'm thinking about bubble baths. Oh no, I don't think I'm good at this meditation thing. I quit. And that is the beginning and the end of most people's career because they mistakenly believe that the point is to quiet the mind or to clear the mind. And
Hmm.
so, for anyone who's listening who's ever felt like a meditation failure or thought, well, I can't meditate because my brain is too busy, please hear this. If you hear one thing from this whole episode, let it be this: the mind thinks involuntarily, just like the heart beats involuntarily. So, trying to give your brain a command to shut up is as impactful as trying to give your heart a command to stop beating. It doesn't work. And yet, this is the criteria by which everyone is judging themselves as to whether or not they can meditate. And this is why everyone thinks meditation is hard. And so, the good news is that and the reason why that happens is that most people are trying to do adaptations of monk meditation, like
Hmm.
derivations of monastic practices, which are more disciplined, more focused, more concentration based. And that's what mindfulness is actually. Mindfulness is an adaptation of something that was originally made for monks. Whereas what Ziva is, and I'm speaking specifically of the meditation portion of the Ziva technique, is it was made for people with busy minds and busy lives. It was designed to be integrated into your life, meaning like you have a job, you have kids, you have stuff to do, so you have less time in your day with which to meditate. So you actually need a technique that is even more powerful. Monks can meditate for hours on end. They can afford to do something that is simpler. They can afford to do something, that is gentler.
Hmm.
Okay, but it's like if you have a job and kids, you have less minutes, so you need a more powerful practice.
Right.
So, what meditation is, and specifically different from mindfulness, is that for Ziva, you're accessing a verifiable fourth state of consciousness. So, different than waking, different than sleeping, and different than dreaming. And in this fourth state of consciousness, the right and left hemispheres of your brain are functioning in unison, and you're strengthening something called the corpus callosum, which is the bridge between the right and left hemispheres of the brain. This is important because this is the thing that allows you to access creative downloads even in the middle of a high demand situation. And then the other thing, how I would define meditation, is where you're giving your body rest that again is 5 times deeper than sleep. And that's really where the magic happens because as we all know, if you're sick, you need to rest, right? Body heals when it rests. And
Right.
if we're in a chronic state of stress, the body simply isn't resting to the degree which it could, which means you're not regenerating, you're not recuperating, you're not processing. And that goes for all of the systems in your body: your reproduction, your digestion, your vision, your memory, your concentration, creativity. Like all of those things get stunted when you have too many tabs open on your brain computer.
Mm. Great analogy. Um, so without, going into teaching us your actual technique on the show, can you tell us a little um, is there a way to tell us a little bit more about how you get into that fourth state of consciousness?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for the first 6 years of my career, I was just teaching meditation, right? So I was just sort of giving people the tools to access that fourth state of consciousness. And after about 6 years and many thousands of people, I realized that meditation alone is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw people like starting meditation and quitting, or just simply not even wanting to really fully dive in. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. So that's actually why I developed the Ziva technique, which is mindfulness. So, and then meditation and then manifesting. So we start with mindfulness at Ziva, and that could be breath work. That could be using your 5 senses, but it's something where you are directing your focus. It's something to really to bring you into the present moment so that you're preparing your mind and body to surrender into this deep healing rest. So for most of us, especially with our busy lives, like we're gonna need some sort of like a warm up. We like gotta get the motor running a little bit before we start the race.
Right.
And then at Ziva, what we do to induce that fourth state of consciousness is that we use a tool. It's a mental tool. And I'm going to say a word that has been very much hijacked. Okay. So we use something called a mantra. Now, when I say the word mantra, what most people think of is slogan or affirmation. They think like, oh, I deserve abundance. I'm a strong, angry woman. Like we think about these like, mantra Mondays, motivational mantras. But
Mm-hmm.
again, those are affirmations. Mantra is a Sanskrit word. Man means mind and tra means vehicle. So at Ziva, we use a mind vehicle, and these are beautiful, powerful sounds. They're like settling sounds that again de-excite the nervous system, that induce this deep healing rest, and that help the right and left hemispheres of the brain to function in unison. So it's basically like your mind finds the sound of the mantra very charming. Your mind finds the sound of the mantra very settling. And it feels, the analogy that I use is that the mantras sort of bury themselves into your right brain. And because most of us are in our waking state left brain most of the time, when we start to wake up that right brain, that's when we create brain coherence. That's when all cylinders start firing.
This is really cool. And it's reminding me. So I was introduced to Ziva, I guess almost 3 years ago now, because it was right after my son was born.
I have
And
a 3-year-old son too.
no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'll be honest, I started it and I stopped and I didn't go back to it. And I need to. And I'm like so inspired now. I'm like, as soon as we hang up, that's exactly what I'm going to go do.
Yes.
Um, but
Also,
I
I just want
think,
to give you a big hall pass because I'm a meditation teacher. I do this for a living. And when I had my son, I didn't meditate not one time for a whole month, which for me is like a year for
yeah,
someone else. And it's just life is life, and postpartum is a special type of
yes.
life. And so I just want to give you any sort of guilt or embarrassment or shame or should have. It's just like just wipe that from the
Wipe
deck
it
and be
out.
like, now's the perfect time.
Yes, now is the perfect time. And thank you for saying that. But like what you said earlier too, it's really, I couldn't afford not to do it then. I probably, that's the time that I should have been doing it most. So anyway, I'm still always, life's always chaotic and full. Now I also have a 1 year old. So life's
Whoa,
crazy.
bless you.
Yes. And so, okay, what I was going to ask you though is I remember now there was one video that I watched with you and you used Ziva as an example of saying like Ziva and then doing it different ways in your head. Is that what you mean by mantra? Is that what you're referencing or am I
Yes. So
mixing two
Ziva
things
is the
together?
name of my company. It's
Yes.
not a mantra. And
Right.
so, yes, I think you might be thinking about the audiobook. So in my book, Stress Less, Accomplish More, I kind of go through like the different things that can happen inside of the mind of a meditator. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
use like a word as an example, like ding dong or ramalama ding dong, just to kind of give people a window into what happens most commonly for meditators.
Okay, that must be what I'm thinking of then. Okay, that makes sense. So let's go back to this subject though of I don't have time to meditate.
Yeah.
I'm so busy. My life is so full and chaotic. How do you prioritize it? And is the answer literally just as simple as like you just do it?
Well, it's not that simple. Because if you don't, one, have an intellectual understanding of what this thing is doing for your brain and body, you will find every single excuse in the book not to do it. Because
Mm-hmm.
here's the trick. We've been trained since infancy not to feel our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Shh, 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 don't cry, have a bottle. Shh, don't cry, have a toy. Shh, don't cry, have an iPad. Have some toys, have some food, have some TV, have some Facebook, have some pot, have some pills. And, we've just trained ourselves since infancy to repress, shut down, shut down. And the meditation is going to heal you on a cellular level. And part of that means allowing the old stress, the old trauma, the old sadness to come up and out. And nobody wants to feel their feelings. We have billions of dollars of industry built on top of ensuring that you actually never have to feel it. Just take some more pills, drink some more stuff, watch some more things, scroll through some more hours of Instagram, but don't feel.
Don't feel.
Don't feel.
Feeling's way too hard.
Uh-huh. And so what meditation is doing is that it's going to wring you out, and it's going to make the feeling non-negotiable. And so you're going to have to contend with your resistance. Like, that's going to come up. And that's part of why I think it's so important to have a teacher. I think it's why it's so important to have a community, and I think it's why it's important to have an actual matriculation. So Ziva Online is developed to where it's like every day builds upon the previous day,
Right.
and by the time you graduate from those 15 days, you already have momentum. You've gone from 5 minutes to 8 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes. You now understand why this is going to give you back more time in your day. I go through and say, okay, let's say you're a new mom. Let's say you have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Well, guess what? When you wake up at 6 a.m. with your baby screaming, you're not going to meditate right then. I get that. You might be breastfeeding. Like, your day doesn't start for you. But what I would recommend in your case, and people can adapt this to whatever their fill in the blank busyness is, if if you have any sort of childcare, like if your nanny comes at 8 or if your partner takes over at 10, do your meditation then. Right? It's like when you start your day, it's just first thing, or right before the kids come home from school. Or, if you go to an office, which not that many people do anymore, but if you do, it's actually better to meditate in your office than it is for you to come home and do it like once your like kind of home life starts. So we go through all the nitty gritty of this, and actually how you can do it on a plane, on takeoff and landing, how it can basically eradicate jet lag, how you can do it if you're pregnant, which makes the pregnancy so much easier.
Wow.
Like, there's a lot of different use cases that we cover in Ziva Online, but the point of the story is that if you don't have a technique that's designed for you, and if you don't have any training, it's gonna feel like a waste of time.
Right.
I would argue that none of us have time to waste. I would even argue that none of us have time to spend. All of us have time to invest. And when you start to viscerally feel the exact ROI, the huge return on time investment that you get with Ziva, then you're like, duh, of course I'm going to do this 15-minute meditation in the morning, because I will get back hours of productivity in my day.
Right. Right. Exactly. Okay. So do you feel like you have to practice, you have to meditate every day to get the benefits fully?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that coffee you drank last Thursday
Yeah.
is not really giving you a pep in your step today. Is the same with meditation.
Same
The
thing.
meditation you did last January is not going to make you feel more
Not holding
blissful,
out.
serene, and
Yeah.
centered today. Just like we got to sleep every day, we got to brush our teeth every day. Meditation really wants to be in that non-negotiable category of like, I do this like eating, sleeping, and brushing my teeth.
Yeah. And to go back to what you just shared a second ago, do you think that, I know the answer is probably whenever you fit it in is when you fit it in, and that's most important, just that you do it, not when you do it. But if we could pretend that we're in complete control of our time, then do you think it is better to start your day meditating, or yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we teach in Ziva is wake up and go to the bathroom, get some water, freshen up. But first thing, before coffee, before breakfast, before computer, before your phone, you really want to do that morning meditation. And I just gave myself like a 30-day like sabbatical of sorts. So it was like no drinking, no sugar, no social media, no socializing, no dating. It was just me, my son, and God. And I would wake up in the morning and I would actually, and I'm not suggesting that people do this, like this was my own kind of like urban retreat, but I had sometimes a 2-hour morning practice where I was meditating, journaling, doing sex practice, breath work, and then I wouldn't even look at my phone for the first 2 hours of my day. And just one day of that is like a religious experience. I turned my phone off, like off for 24 hours. It is fascinating how quickly your brain changes. Like, I felt like a different human in 24 hours, because forget about the actual screen time, what that's doing for you, just the mental like addiction of reaching for it,
Yes.
looking to it, what's
Check,
next,
check, check.
and the inability to do any sort of long form concentration or to have nature download bigger ideas. Like, what that phone addiction is costing all of us is huge. So anyway, just to translate that, like I just am coming off of this month where I just felt amazing. And so like if you could just wake up in the morning and go to the bathroom, have some water, take 15 minutes for yourself. 15 minutes to flood your brain and body with feel good chemicals, to connect yourself to your own intuition, to design your day. If you don't think you're going to get a return on investment from that, you're out of your mind.
Yeah. I mean, even if yeah, just not, the phone addiction is so real. And I mean, I know all of us are guilty of it, and it's designed that way. Like it's not our faults, but um yeah, to break, I've been trying to figure out how to break my phone addiction while still having a phone. And this sounds like a good experiment.
Well, there is an app on the phone, hilariously. It's called Screen Time. And you
Yeah.
can set it to be like at 11 o'clock, everything shuts down. Or I only am allowed 10 minutes on Facebook or 10 minutes on Instagram. And so just if you do find yourself in like a full zombie scroll, like just it shutting down the social media, I
Yeah.
think is really helpful. But I
Yes.
want to really advocate for like, and this, I mean, this is absurd that I'm even saying this as like a thing that humans should do, but turning off your phone for 24 hours, I am not kidding, will feel like a religious experience.
Yeah. Yeah, once I went away for the weekend and I deleted like all of the apps that I constantly email, social media, Voxer, like all the things that I knew I was going to check. And so I didn't turn my phone off but I really wasn't like texting or do anything else on it. But I found myself just like still wanting to like pick it up and see like, well, what could I do on here without these things? I'm like, why? The point is get rid of the phone.
Yes,
So
totally.
yeah.
So something like so as simple as like it sounds dumb, but if you turn it off, like the 30 seconds that you have to wait for it to turn on is enough time for your brain to do some what I call urge surfing. It's like you have the urge and you can actually ride the wave of the urge and it might
Mm,
actually pass before your phone even turns on. And you
yeah,
have a moment to be like, I actually don't want to look at this. Let me just put it
I
down.
don't even
So if
need
you
it.
turn it physically off, put it in a drawer, keep it in another room, you're going to have the urge. Oh, but it's going to be too many steps to go and get it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
forget
know.
it.
And I know that it's tricky if you're not with your kids. And that was the thing that I was finding, that I wasn't with
Yeah,
my son that weekend. And so I actually was like, maybe I should get a landline so that I just know that if something were to
yeah,
happen with my son, someone can reach me. And I
right.
think there's even wearable jewelry that can solve that for you. It's like only your nanny, only your partner can get
Yeah,
through. But then you can keep your phone in another room.
yeah. One of my friends does this thing where she will sign out of all of the apps. And so if she wants to log into Instagram, she has to actually like type in her password and do the whole thing. And she says a lot of times she ends up being like, I forget it. It's way too much effort.
Yes, that's
And
so smart.
yeah, so I should try that. I do the screen time thing where it shuts down certain things, but I also am guilty of going, an extra remind me in 15 minutes. And
Sure, sure. And then it's just adding more time because you're like, keep
yeah,
doing that.
keep doing that. And like, oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. As we're coming up on the end here, this has all been so fascinating. Like I said, I cannot wait to just go as soon as we hang up. I'm going to log into my Ziva account and get started again.
Yay, I'm so excited.
Yes. And I know you mentioned that you had a special free gift for everybody listening. If you want to share, the link is going to be katekordsmeyer.com/Ziva. So we will put that in the show notes. But if you want to tell everybody what's at that link waiting for them.
Yeah, so what I'd love to offer everyone is the first 3 days of this course that we've been talking about. So this course is going to teach them mindfulness, meditation, and manifesting. It's our most popular training. It's the thing that gives you back more time in your day, better sleep, better sex, and the ability to do this stuff on your own. So it's usually a 15-day training, but I would love to gift your audience the first 3 days for free. So they can go to that link that you just mentioned. It's /Ziva, and then you can see if you dig my teaching style, if you dig the technology, and one thing I do want to highlight is that once you graduate from the 15 days, you don't have to keep going to your phone anymore. Because to me, like meditating with an app is like having an AA meeting in a liquor store. It's
Yeah.
like, why would you go into the belly of the beast of distraction to try and
So
unplug?
true.
So yes, we use technology just to give you the information, but then after that, you can do this anywhere, on a plane, on a bus, in a lift, with your kids in the next room. Like, it's infinitely portable. And the idea is that you just close your eyes and you're able to access this bliss and you come out feeling so refreshed on the other side.
So good. So anywhere else you'd like to share for people to find you?
Yeah, we're all over social media at Ziva Meditation. And then one thing I'd love to share is that for anyone who has children, we just launched. I've been working for 2 years with folks from Harvard and Sesame Street to develop what I think is really the world's most entertaining kids meditation course. It's called Ziva Kids. It's for ages 4 to 14. And I have a puppet co-star. His name is Z Bunny. Like it's amazing. It's so good. I'm so dang proud of it. And people can find that at zivameditation.com/kids.
Okay, awesome. That's amazing. So cool. When Jackson turns 4, I'm gonna get him on that train.
Yes.
Okay, so we always end with a quick lightning round. You already answered the last question in the beginning, so we won't have to do that one again. But tell us, what is your favorite way to make time for self-care aside from meditating?
Ooh. I mean, honestly, a bath, and I know I was kind of hating on bubble baths earlier, or I was just feeling a little like pejorative, but there is something that feels so sacred and so special about, and almost luxurious about taking that time and all. I mean, I put in rose buds and rose petals and Epsom salts and oils and crystals, and I really make it an
Yeah.
experience in that bath. And then it's like no one can get to me, right? It's,
Yeah.
it's actually I'm in a little casing, and I know it's so healing for my body, and so that feels really good these days.
Yes, totally. One tool or strategy you use to help with time management.
Mm. Turn your phone off.
Yeah.
I read 2 books. In the weekend that I turned my phone off, I
Yeah.
read 2 books.
Amazing. Amazing. Um, what is one of the most powerful business or entrepreneurial mindset books you've read?
Well, can it not be a book?
Sure. But,
Okay, I would say it's Marie Forleo's B School.
oh, okay. Yeah.
If people haven't done it, it's so good. It's like an MBA, and she really built it for like female solopreneurs in mind, but it's become much more comprehensive than that. And if you're just starting out, if you're developing an online course, if you're building your email list, if you're figuring out your messaging, it's so good. So, and I
It is
think
so
the
good.
cart only opens for like 2 weeks a year, and I think it might be coming up soon. I really should be an affiliate for her. I think it's so good.
Yeah, I did B school a few years ago as well, and I think it's amazing too. Okay, so this is an interesting question because normally the way I ask it is, what is a mantra or affirmation you're telling yourself these days? Now I'm gonna have to change that.
Just the
So just
affirmation.
affirmation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so the one that comes to mind right now is the braver I am, the luckier I become. The
Ooh.
braver I am, the luckier I become. And that is from Glennon Doyle's Untamed.
The
And
best book. I
the
love that
best
book.
book. I've read it 10 times.
Yeah, it's so good.
I just listened to the last 5 chapters again last night, and it feels like God is speaking directly to me via Glennon Doyle.
Hmm.
Golly, it's so good.
So good. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. This was amazing.
It is my absolute pleasure. You're such a great interviewer, and bravo on everything that you're creating.
Oh, thanks.